In the not too distant future, next Sunday AD, there was a guy named Joel. Not too different from you.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Markers and Monsters. Happy Halloween, everyone, and a very special happy birthday to my friend Nathan. He's a big Markers and Monsters fan, and earlier this year, 10 months ago, yikes, I asked him what he wanted for his birthday, and he wanted an episode of Markers and Monsters dedicated solely to one of his favorite shows, Mystery Science Theater 3000. So without further ado, happy birthday, Nathan. Happy Halloween, everyone. Let's get right into it. I'm starting here with a pretty big drawing. This is an 8x10 more or less, just a little bit shy so it fits in a nice frame or mat. And I'm starting penciling in. Now this, just like the old Goosebumps drawing, if y'all remember that, has a lot of characters all over the place. So it took a little bit of time to just kind of rough in exactly where all of these different monsters and crazy people and stuff like that is going to go. I kind of started with a general idea and just refined it over time. I like to start up in a corner and just kind of work my way around, just kind of honestly kind of getting a feel for it, what feels right more than any sort of like mathematical interpretation or anything like that. I guess that's an art school education for you right there. Like there's all these principles that they try to teach you, and at the end of the day, it's like what feels right. But I digress. Let's talk about Mystery Science Theater 3000 for just a little bit, shall we? This is one of my all-time favorites. I have very fond memories of watching it on TV. I still watch it to this day. Most of these are up on YouTube that you can just watch whenever you like, and it's a great time. For those that don't know or never heard of this or whatever, Mystery Science Theater is a long-running program started in 1988 by Joel Hodgson, comedian, prop comic, good stuff. Check it out if you ever get a chance. But basically, the point of the show is that Joel, at least at first, Joel Robinson in the show, was a worker at the Strange Institute Gizmonic when he was bonked on the head, put in the satellite of love, sent into outer space. And because the mad scientist that did this wanted to experiment on his brain, they forced him to watch really bad movies. And this is where it gets fun, because as like a science fiction fan, as a horror fan, as just a movie fan, there's lots of these bad movies out there. And you can't see it, but I'm saying bad and I'm air quoting here. Bad is very subjective, but what people traditionally think of as like a goofy, schlocky, not well done type of film, something like Plan 9 from Outer Space, or like some of these guys that I'm drawing in right here, such as right in the middle, The Crawling Eye, one of the first episodes that they did once they moved away from KTMA and started their what would be considered the traditional 10-season run on Comedy Central and the Sci-Fi Channel. What Mystery Science Theater, I think why this is such a beloved show, and I think why people loved it then, love it now. It's big in the sci-fi horror film community. I think it's because when you watch a movie on MST3K with Joel or Mike and the robots or whoever making fun of the movie, it doesn't feel like you're watching a program. It feels like you're sitting in your living room with a bunch of your buddies and you're kind of laughing at the goofy special effects or the bad plot lines or whatever. It feels like a sense of community, if that makes any sense. It feels like watching a movie with friends. And frankly, nothing beats that feeling. I think that truly they tapped in to that sense of belonging. And man, that is potent. And that is very, very powerful to a lot of people, especially nerds like myself. And I assume a lot of others that are watching this YouTube video right now. So Mystery Science Theater always has that special place. For me, I remember watching it on the Sci-Fi Channel, kind of the later seasons when Mike took over from Joel. And so I'd get home from, we'd be either at church on a Sunday morning or some other errands or whatever. And I remember often my dad would make pancakes and we'd sit down and watch just these schlocky movies. Yeah, it's a great time. It's really good experience. And one of those type of things, one of those memories that I'm going to treasure for a very long time. Let's talk about some of the movies that they'd maybe do. Up in the top corner there, the guy with the hat and the kind of weird hand thing. Well, that's our old pal Torgo from Manos, The Hands of Fate. We've got Iga in there, the Boggy Creek monster. I'm currently inking in the guy from Laser Blast, a schlocky B-movie where an outcast kid finds a crashed spaceship and has the one of their laser guns attached to his arm, which drives him crazy and turns him into a monster. Wild stuff. I think for a lot of people, maybe some of the films that are featured on the program, or maybe their first exposure to these types of schlocky, silly, goofy sci-fi movies. And I gotta say, I've watched most of the MST3K movies not on MST3K. I've seen them on DVD, on TV, wherever, just without the commentary and the laughs and stuff like that. And a lot of them I still like. I honestly, even a bad movie is like one more film than I've ever made. So you got to give people credit where it's due. I'm having a lot of fun here with the inking as well, especially putting in all those gross, weird veins and stuff from the crawling eye. Now that's a movie where the monster is definitely a cool design, but you can tell they didn't really have the budget to pull off too much. I think a lot of filmmakers are hampered by stuff like that. Like they have a vision, an idea, and then they're hampered by the reality of like, you got to have funds to make a movie. You got to pay your props people. And the more you pay them, the better the props are going to be. Kind of an interesting thing, but, I'm so glad that all of these movies exist, frankly. They're a ton of fun to watch and enjoy. And like I said, hang out with friends, have a drink or two, have some popcorn, and just watch some crazy stuff. Not Zapparaz Tower. The guy from Space Mutiny, whom inking in right now, that's always a favorite. I love a good schlocky sci-fi movie. Sci-fi can be hard because, man, you need a ton of money to build spaceships and get a budget and sets and stuff like that. But I love filmmakers who just say, you know what, to hell with it. We're just going to film inside of a warehouse, call that a spaceship. We're going to get goofy-ass helmets and say that's good enough. And then hire Reb Brown, the screamingest man in show business, to be the main character in your movie. It's a good time. Now I'm inking Zapp Rousdower from the epic The Final Sacrifice. He's a Canadian hero, ladies and gentlemen, wears a Canadian tuxedo, which is denim on denim. Can't beat that. Love it. If you out there want to get into Mystery Science Theater 3000, well, I'd highly recommend just go to YouTube, type it in. You'll find some. I, of course, have things that I love. There's an endless debate out there as to who is the better host, with Joel, as I said, being the original host of the show before turning it over to Mike in season 5. Eventually, after a couple of cancellations, Netflix picked it up due to some crowdfunding. They put in a guy named Jonah to be the host, and I believe there's been a couple others here and there, that maybe aren't main ones, but still count. So it's like, there's definitely a case to be made for which host you like. And frankly, I think they're all good. They all have their different styles. They all have their different bits of humor. For purely nostalgia reasons, I really am a Mike fan. I like the later season Mike episodes. Watching those on TV as a kid, just, absolutely pure nostalgia trip. But Mike and some of the guys went on to form Riff Tracks, you may have heard of, which is more or less the same thing. They don't have the little theater with the bots and Mike sitting there, as you see in the bottom of this picture, on their videos or anything. It's just pure audio, but still a ton of fun. And they got to do a couple of movies that Mystery Science Theater never has done, which is always a pleasure. So if you're going to start anywhere, if you're completely new to this, if you're like, I don't know I've never heard of this, I don't know, I'll throw some links in the video description, but a couple episodes I can highly recommend would be the Manos Hands of Fate episode is a blast. I really like The Final Sacrifice. There's one called Soul Taker That's another good one with Mike and the bots. Tons of fun, man. Love it. Let's get into the coloring now, shall we? As you see, I'm kind of taking a slightly more holistic approach to this. I found that over the years, it helps me get larger drawings with a lot of complex parts done quick. So instead of just focusing on one monster at a time, I tend to go and do like, okay, everything that's going to be this green color, I hit it with that green color. Anything that's going to be this like shade of brown or whatever, I hit with that shade of brown all at once. I'm kind of keeping track too of just in doing this, a little bit of the color balancing. I don't want any extreme colors right off the bat to jump out at you. Like I don't want, some kind of a bright blue on Ega, which I'm doing right now, that'll draw your eyes up. I kind of want the thing to work holistically. It can be a little troublesome, especially once you really start getting into it and you're coloring things from a movie or a TV show or whatever, and they have certain specific colors that you need to work with. But I don't know, again, had that a little bit in mind as I was laying everything out here. Laser Blast Guy is definitely that goopy green. Lots of greens you're going to see in this. Lots of desaturated green colors as things get together. The Boggy Creek monster being very dark there and mysterious. He's a big old Bigfoot. Is pretty fun too. I'd love to know too, you guys, what if anybody out there has their favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes or monsters or moments, or tell me what movies you'd love to have seen on a Mystery Science Theater TV show of any kind with any host or whatever. Just let me know what would be a really good one. I don't know. So like I said, as a birthday gift, Nathan gave me a list of some monsters he might want for this drawing, including the Screaming Skull Bride down there, the Hobgoblins, those two little gremlin-looking ripoffs in the corner, the Metaluna mutant, which I gotta say, from This Island Earth, which was on Mystery Science Theater, the movie, I genuinely like that movie. I think it's really good. Still doesn't mean you can't poke gentle fun at it, but it's a good film. I added in a couple of my own there. I threw in a Gamera for Nathan up at the top. Had to put in my boy Zap Rousdower. What a classic. And the Crawling Eye being the original MST3K episode, season 1, episode 1. Kind of thought that would be a fun shout out there too. Continuing along with the coloring here, now I'm starting to get more into the nitty gritty and doing an individual creature being at a time, just kind of working on that. It does kind of help to pop out here once you get some initial colors established to just go 1-to-1. So we're going to work on the Screaming Skull here and just start moving our way around. And I think that's turning out great. I'm a big fan of schlocky old B movies to begin with. I think I mentioned that earlier. Plan 9 from Outer Space is usually a classic. I know in the X-Files, Mulder always said he'd go see that movie because it was so bad it would unlock some sort of weird Zen fugue state in his mind and he could just relax and come to conclusions differently. I think that's funny. I love Plan 9. I think I don't think it's a good movie to begin with. I don't know. I don't care what other people say. Yeah, it doesn't have a great budget or acting or special effects or story or anything else that would be traditionally considered good, but hell, I love it. I don't even care. I don't know, man. Mystery Science Theater, what an incredible experience. What a time to be alive, right? When this kind of stuff exists. Love it. Doing some flesh tones in there as well on, Red Brown from Space Mutiny. Tons of fun stuff. And the Puma Man with Donald Pleasance, I think is going to be next. What a schlocky film. Love it, love it. Now, Mystery Science Theater, again, ran from 1988 on KTMA. It ran from 89 to 99 on Comedy Central and then the Sci-Fi Network. And one thing I do love, too, is that in between watching the movies with the bots, they often have skits and stuff. Mike, Joel, the bots, whoever, are on the Satellite of Love, and they interact with the various villains of the piece, such as initially Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank, later Dr. Forrester's daughter Pearl, and Brain Guy and Bobo from Planet of the Apes movies. I find these skits to just be so fun. Once again, there's differences you can say between the different hosts. Joel often had like the invention exchange where he would come up with some quirky invention. As a prop comic, Joel was great for this. And he'd try to outdo Dr. Forrester with his invention. A lot of times they'd have characters from the movie show up in bad makeup and stuff. It just, it felt like a party. It felt like just a ton of absolute fun watching these. Yeah, good stuff. As one of Nathan's favorite colors is purple, I felt that was an appropriate choice for the background. Plus, like I said, a lot of green in there. Green and purple go together like peanut butter and bananas, man. And Elvis Presley special. Love that. So let's just fill it in with a nice, rich purple. I go over it twice there just to make sure there's less lines or whatever. And then a couple touch-ups, stuff like that towards the end. Finally, I'm going to get some fresh ink out. Well, first of all, I'm going to outline everything, just pop it off with that white line. I'm just doing the total outline silhouette here. I'm not getting into individual creatures or anything. We're going to bust out the actual ink here to do that bottom area with a nice brush. That's my super expensive Series 7 brush, which I hate bringing out because, like, man, it's a good brush, but man, it's pricey. It feels like I don't want to use it wasted, but it was worth it for this one. Get those black silhouettes in of Tom Servo. That's either Mike or Joel at the bottom. You be the judge. Or maybe it's Nathan. I don't know. And then finally, Crow T Robot, who's always my favorite there at the end. I'm using my big, giant Japanese brush here to get into the just to fill in the big areas. That thing sops up ink like crazy. Love it. Let's take a look at the scan. Yeah, that's right. We'll go through the details. Hey, so there are 16 MST3K monsters here. I've talked about a couple of them in the video, but if you can name them all, then you'll get a no prize, which is nothing but my undying admiration and respect. This was a fun one, you guys. Thanks for joining in today. Help everybody wish my boy Nathan a happy birthday. He's one of the true believers out there. He's got good taste, loves great movies and shows, and yeah, I don't know. Thanks for liking Markers of Monsters, Nathan. I can't thank you enough for all the support, man. Hopefully the next birthday present won't take 10 months to do, but we'll see. We'll see. That's my bad. All right, you guys, happy Halloween. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me on the next episode of Markers and Monsters. Goodbye.